Hi everybody, I'm Damien Osborne and I'm a fine artist from Cape Town in South Africa, and today I want to be making my own linseed oil. Basically this is the foundation for making good paint, is to have a decent oil. So I'm going to show you now how I do that, and it's a method that I got from Tad Spurgeon, who sort of became an internet friend of mine by asking him sending him lots of emails and asking him stuff about the way that the old masters used to make their paints. So if you're looking for really interesting information, then check out Tad Spurgeon's website. So in my last video I made some canvas panels and I showed how to make your own primer, homemade primer, so check that out. So please stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the video, and please send me any questions you may have. Enjoy. Okay, I just want to quickly go through the ingredients. Obviously we have some flaxseed oil, which is basically linseed oil, and I've been guaranteed that this particular brand is just 100% flaxseed oil. No antioxidants were added at all, because you actually want the oil to oxidize. I've got two 2-liter jars, which have been pre-warmed with hot water, well, warm water so they don't break. I've got a liter of hot water here. Not too hot, basically hot tap water. This is actually water that came from the tank outside, so this is rainwater. I just find it's a little bit better. I've got a 3/4 cup of salt, a 1/2 cup of pool sand, basically it's just silica sand, and I've got a turkey baster and 2 syringes. So yeah, that's what you need basically. So firstly, take your first jar and take your flaxseed oil. So this bottle of flaxseed oil is 500 milliliters. I couldn't get a bigger one. You can basically get this from a health store, so if you want to, you can get organic flaxseed oil. That's pretty good for you. It's very good for all the omegas and all that, but we don't need that for paint. So I'm going to pour the whole lot. You can see the color is quite a dark orangey yellow, like a morning pea. I don't know what kind of morning pea you have, but that's quite dark. See? Okay. So within this jar, I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of sand. Okay. Just swirl it around a bit. And in the other jar, I'm going to put a liter of hot water. Not too hot, otherwise you might crack the glass. So let's say about, 50 or 60 degrees, maybe more, Celsius. I just took this rainwater and I put it in the kettle for a few minutes. Saw some steam coming off. I actually don't have a thermometer, so I don't know how hot it is. But it's not too hot to crack the glass. And then I've got a 3/4 cup of salt here. I'm going to throw that in. Close it. Swirl it around to dissolve the salt in the water. Okay. And then I'm going to add jar 2 to jar 1. So I'm going to add this hot water to the oil. It's kind of emulsified now. Okay, close the lid, and then we shake up. It's kind of like making a big cocktail, mixing the salt, the silica or sand, and oil and water, and basically that's just separating all the fatty lipids in the oil. Kind of really builds up a sweat. Okay, so let it settle, and let's just give it a few minutes. Okay, so that was the first shake, and you can see already the oil has separated from the water. The oil has risen to the top, and the water is now heavier, so it's sunk to the bottom. And give this about five or six shakes like this for a while, for a few minutes, while the water is still hot. I'm gonna just shake it up like this, nice and vigorously, and then just put it down. Just put it down and let it settle. I'll do that about 5 times, so we can skip ahead now. Okay, so there we go. I've shook it up a few times, quite nice and vigorously. And now watch how the oil and water separate here. So it's kind of foamy at the moment, created an emulsion, and all this, the silica, the sand has settled to the bottom, and then slowly it will start to separate and purify the oil. So we can just leave it now for about an hour or so, and then do this whole process again about 2 or 3 more times. And that's basically it, actually. So it's a lot of work, makes your arms nice and strong, and it's really fascinating to watch. I feel like a kid watching this kind of thing happen. What I'm going to do now is take the oil out and put it in a new jar. You can see that the oil and water is separated nicely. This saline water is quite cloudy still. Okay, so I'm just going to use my turkey baster and take the oil out. I'm trying not to get any of the water in. So I'm just going to the very top of the oil now. I don't want to get any of the sort of mucilage into the new jar, although at the moment there isn't that much, but I can see some sort of brown stains at the bottom of this oil layer. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of cold water very gently to this jar. So the reason why I'm adding some cold water to this now is because it will create a layer between the heavier salt water and the lighter oil. So it will create a band in between, and it should separate the mucilage from the rest of the oil. Just have to do it very gently. There's an old palette knife. And by raising the water, it just makes it easier for me to also use this syringe at the neck of the jar. At this stage, there isn't much of a mucilage layer. So let's see what happens in the next stage. I don't see much separation yet. Let's just take this thing again. Just look here, you can see some weird stuff that's in the oil. So I don't really want to get that. But yeah, this is stage 1. I'm going to move on to stage 2 shortly. So this one here seems to be working a lot better. You can see some of the fatty bits are falling down there and it's starting to look a bit like a lava lamp. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's a good sign. Okay, so again, this is a pre-warmed jar with some hot water. I'm now going to take this oil and put it into the new jar. Okay everybody, this is now after about 3 or 4 of the salt and sand washes. As you can see, there's a lot of mucilage or mucilage, whatever you want to say, that's floating here because I poured some cold water on the top and I just kind of left it overnight. So what I'm going to do now is just give it a water wash. According to Tad Spurgeon's website, one should give it about 3 washes just with sand. After this whole process, but I'm feeling a little bit lazy, so I'm going to just take my time and just give it a water wash. I also spoke to Tad this morning. Well, I wrote to him this morning on email, and he said that another idea one could do is to wash the oil with vinegar first, so I might try that next time. But anyway, I'm just going to give this a water wash now, and I thought what a good idea would be to use my wife's blender to just kind of mix it up properly. So I'm kind of waiting for her to not be around while I do this because it's quite messy and she might get upset with me. I actually had to use a smaller jar because I wanted to be able to put it in the freezer to separate. You can see that without salt it creates a very milky emulsion, and I put a cloth lid over it. Here I started a second batch. The oil separates very quickly when there's salt in the water. Okay, so here I left it on the windowsill for a few days. The longer you leave it to stand, the more the water purifies the oil. The sun also thickens the oil, and by allowing air into the jar, the more it will oxidize. I left it for about a week on the windowsill, and now I put it overnight in the freezer. It must have a cloth lid, otherwise the glass will crack. The water-soluble bits have frozen and the oil is separated to the top nicely. Okay, so after a day with the water only and the freezer technique, I pour the oil through a filter into a clean jar. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, the oil has become a pale light greenish color. I left it on the windowsill for about 2 or 3 weeks. I can't really remember because I was quite busy, and it's the kind of project where you just leave it somewhere and forget about it. The longer you leave the oil refining for, the more purified it will become. So you don't need to rush the process. So the oil's been sitting in the sun for quite a while, and hence the paler color. The sun tends to bleach linseed oil. So what I'm going to do now is just pour it into this lovely gin bottle that I found. It's quite a nice bottle because it's got like a cork. Okay, this is a composite cork or plastic cork, so it'll prevent air from coming in. But if you want to let the oil oxidize more, then you can just use a normal cork, because like a red wine bottle or a white wine bottle. Because the cork like that will allow minute amounts of air to come through, and basically that's how wine is aged, so you can also age your linseed oil in the same way. It depends how oxidized you want the oil to be. That of course does change the working properties of the oil, so it's experimental. Okay, so I'm just going to now pour my oil into my bottle, and this is going to be my kind of storage bottle for all my linseed oil. Okay, thanks very much for watching, guys. Please stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to be making some of my own oil paints, and I'll show you the process. Please check out my blog below because I'll be talking a lot more about the different oils and its properties. Sun bleached and sand oil and etc. So if you want to learn more, then just check out the blog below. So if you have any questions, please send me an email or comment below, and thanks for watching.